Seems are attracted to the outside. Turn on the right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Good Heart Church. I'm Chaplain Keith. Behind the camera is my wife Mary, and on the computer is my brother Paul. We thank them for their services to helping out making this church possible. First thing I want to mention, it'll be a long time coming, but just one real quick announcement, and that is that when there may be a week or two coming up in the future that we may not be live, but we'll still have a service. It'll be a pre-recorded service, pre-recorded gathering. And the reason for that is that I might have to be out of town where I can't video. And if that's what we'll do when I can't video, is we'll have a pre-recorded one that'll come on, and it'll come on at the same time, but it will be pre-recorded, and you'll still be able to get a message. We'll announce that usually the week before or a couple of weeks before as to what dates those might be. I'm not looking at that until probably spring, but there may be a time during the winter that the snow might be too bad that we can't get up here, because we're actually we live 20 miles away from where we record these live. And if that's the case, we'll record something on our property, or we will put something out pre-recorded the night before, and it'll be a little different than what is expected, but it will be here. Excuse me. So, what in the world is going on? That is what we're going to talk about today, I think. Um, I say I think you'll find out in a little bit why. But let's first talk to our deity, pray to our deity, and get a relaxation focus on us, and go through a relaxation process to help us receive whatever it is that each person is supposed to receive today. I think it's going to be an interesting talk about what in the world is going on. So let's get to it. So let's take a moment now and relax a little bit and become connected with your deity. As we congregate today, let's go ahead and start to relax ourselves to a point where we can receive whatever it is we need to receive. Not truly a meditation, just a relaxation process. Starting at the top of your head, relax your scalp, your temples. Relax your forehead and take that crease out from in between your eyes, and relax your eyebrows and your eyes. Relax your cheekbones and your jaw, dropping that tongue down to the bottom of your mouth where you can relax it as well. Relax your ears, your neck, and drop your shoulders away from your ears into a relaxing form, keeping the best posture possible as we do this relaxation, keeping the curvature of your spine and all your chakras in line. Go ahead and relax your upper chest and your chest and your upper back, your belly, your lower back. Go ahead and sink down into whatever it is you're sitting on, relaxing your buttocks and your hips. And as you do this with each breath out, as you're relaxing each part of your body, do it with each breath out. Relax your upper legs, your knees, your lower legs, your ankles, feet, and toes. And if you haven't already, I missed the upper arms, the elbows, the lower arms, and wrists, hands, and fingers. Take a moment now, and as you breathe out, relax. And go into a state where you can receive whatever it is you are to receive today in the talk that we are about to give. As you come back into wherever it is you are, bring yourself back to this point where you can listen, hear, and experience whatever it is that we have for you today. Give yourself to your deity, your higher power, to source. whatever it is that you call church. Okay. You know, yesterday, the three of us that are here in the building right now went to what they called a psychic fair. And I really call it a metaphysical fair. Um, we had a lot of practitioners there. We had a lot of people there that were. The reason I don't like calling it a psychic fair is because not everybody there was psychic, but they were all metaphysical. They all had their own modalities. They all had a higher vibration. And we got to talk. It was a small gathering. I don't know, 10, 12 exhibitors, 10, 12 people with booths. And I got to thinking a little bit about that, about how we all have our ideas and how we are all handling what is going on in the world. Well, what is going on in the world? There's a lot of turmoil right now, all across it, not just in one country, all across the world, there's turmoil. Okay. And why is that turmoil happening? Well, spiritually, in my opinion, what's happening is we are changing times. The earth is changing. The world is changing. And those who want to hold on to the old are fighting back. This happens every time there's a change, a major change, whether it be, um, oftentimes it's considered a change of an age from Pisces to Aquarius, from the different ages of the zodiac. And I can't tell you that we're in Aquarius right now. I truly think that Aquarius started coming about at the end of the Mayan calendar, but I can't tell you that for certain simply because as I look things up and as I look things over, um, there's no set way of figuring that out. Astronomy says it might have happened in the 1400s. Then the astronomers say it might not happen till the 5000s when we change into Aquarius. So I can't tell you. But here's my thinking. When I studied Mayan culture, it said, I think this is the end of a 5,125 year cycle in 2012. And that's seems like the end of their cycle could possibly be because it's not the end of the world as people thought it might be. It's the end of an age. And that might be when we started moving into Aquarius. I've also found out that it takes about 20 years at the end of those 5,125 years, I think, as I said, I think it was. It takes 20 years to readjust the Earth to the next spot, the next age, or the next segment of the Earth, the next era. And that's usually infighting amongst the old guard and the new guard. There are examples of that, which I won't get into today, but we can at some point if you want. Um, but that might be why the turmoil is happening. But let's just wait a minute. Wait a minute. Is it really what in the world are we doing? Or is it what in the universe is going on? Think about this for a minute. As we go through things, we're told that everything happens on the earth. Is that right? It makes no sense. We're part of the universe. We're part of a galaxy. And are all the forces just happening here? Are all the forces, all the energies just changing on this little rock that we live on? Or are there other, what we sometimes would call external or macro things going on in the entire universe? If I throw a pebble into a rock, into a lake, it ripples out. So how do we know whether Earth is changing and changing the ripple of the universe, or if the universe has already started to ripple and we're feeling that? Okay. We've been told here lately that there's been some energies changing and they are, what is incoming is love energies. Remember last week we spoke about the big possible sun flare that was going to affect us? Well, it's supposed to be bringing us love. That's what people are saying all over the internet. So that's a force coming in, not us pushing it out. So are we affecting it or is it affecting us? So really what in the universe, these are stars, by the way, what in the universe is going on? Well, you know what? I got a little human pea brain and I don't really know. But what I do know is that I can feel the energies. Last night, after we went to that metaphysical fair, I told my wife, Mary, I don't have a clue what I'm talking about tomorrow. I said nothing had come to me. I laid down, woke up this morning, and I said, oh, I'm supposed to talk about the changes that are going on, the love changes, the universal changes, not the world changes, the universal changes. But I don't know anything about them other than that they're there. I just don't know anything about it. But you know, I've had sages that I've read about, never really. I have had a mentor who is a very, very high vibrational person that maybe or maybe not is a sage or a guru or whatever you might want to call them. But I will tell you this much: even the gurus, the sages, the magi's that are around, that have been around on this earth, only talk about the earth changes. So how narrow-minded even are some of them that they only talk about earthlings? What about star people? Okay, I know I've never mentioned that before. But can you really believe that this little rock in the middle of the universe is the only rock, quartz rock on top of that, by the way, that has life on it? Are there not, is there not a possibility that there are other entities out there? I mean, let's face it, we talk about angels, we talk about spirit guides. Aren't they other entities, just in a different dimension? We talk about archangels, we talk about cherubs and seraphims. What are they? But other beings. So you can talk to other people that say we have fairies here on Earth. You can talk to other people that have that talk about all kinds of different peoples out there. So some people call them aliens. Are they aliens? They live in the same universe we do. Or are they just people in a different form that have brains and their own physiological um, and anatomy? I mean, so my point is, can they be affecting us? Can they be bringing in energies to us? Can they be part of the universe? A lot of people talk about Pleiadians, Nordics, Greys. We have one fellow that talks about being six, which is a being that is in the sixth dimension. That's why he calls them being six. Um, we talk about Middle Earth people that look a lot like us, supposedly. We talk about there are people out there all over the place to talk about all these different beings that being there. We talk about disclosure. We talk about UFOs, or as they call them today, AIPs. We talk about all these things. Is there not a ripple from them that could possibly do it? We talk about the collective consciousness on Earth. Is there a collective consciousness of the universe that is affecting this? We talk about, for instance, we talked several years ago. There was a possibility that a meteor was going to hit the Earth. I don't remember what year it was, and all of a sudden it diverted its path. Well, there's all kinds of ideas why it diverted its path, and I'm not going to get into that. But the point is it not sending ripples through the universe as it passes through all those energy fields? And what does it do to other dimensions or densities? We don't know. What are other dimensions and densities um, rippling into our affairs? These are the questions of thinking that really needs to be. I don't. Science tells us that the universe is expanding. Well, if the universe is expanding, is that pulling the Earth? Is that pushing the Earth? What's it doing to the rest of the universe? I don't know. I'll have answers for these questions, but boy, they certainly do make me think. You know, there's just so much going on out there that we just only want to concentrate on this little piece of ground that we live on. And the universe is part of the unified field. It, everything is part of the unified field. So if we're all one and we're all part of that unified field, no matter what dimension we're in, no matter what density we're in, what what mindset we're in, we there's just it doesn't matter. We're all one. We're all part of Source. Source is what is expanding this. Source is doing all of this in one manner or another. I don't know the big picture. Now, remember we talked last week about mind, and if I could get into that unified field mind, I might know. As a matter of fact, I didn't have these questions till this morning. I believe that when I slept last night without a subject is because I wasn't supposed to know and do any research on this to know what I was supposed to be talking about today. I was supposed to be as dumb as I am now talking about this. Supposed to be talking about today. I was supposed to be as dumb as I am now talking about this. I was supposed to say, I don't know, but I have lots of questions. And some of these questions didn't even come to me until there was a conversation in my house this morning and brought some of these things out. And I go outside, do some things to get ready to go. And these questions come to me. And it's like, no, wait a minute. What about the universe? Why are we worried about just the earth? Why are we worried about the world? What is going on? Is it strictly part of us? Or is it strictly only the earth? If the earth changes its axis like it is suggested that it's going to do soon, if it changes its axis and puts us into a fifth dimension, and as I like to say, the earth is shaking off the fleas that don't belong here when it changes that, are we going to be able to stay with her. And what is making her do that? Is it us that we have that? Do we really have that much power? Or is it the universe? Is it the expansion of the universe? Is it the collective mind of the universe? Is it the unified field of the universe? What is it that's making this happen? You know, I'll tell you how I don't know how big the universe is, but I do know this. It's over 4 light years away for the next star closest to us. I can't even comprehend a light year. A light year basically is how is it? It takes a year to go for light to go this far, and it has to do that 4 times before that star we can see it. So what we're seeing tonight on a star is years from now. Years ago, it shines that light. It might be gone by now because if it's 30 light years away, it might have dissipated in those 30 years and not be a star anymore. We don't know that. My point is that's how huge this unified field is. And if we're connected to this unified field that is, in our comprehension, light years big, how much information's out there? Not just our information, not just what we've inspired to think about, to inspire to create, inspired to deal with, but what about all these other star peoples? What about their thinking? What about their research? What about their development? How much of that is in the unified field? And can we get to a unified field of all dimensions or densities? Well, that's a lot of questions for me. I ain't got a clue what any of these answers are, but the answers are out there. And the only way we're going to find them is by joining the unified field. We're not going to get them from science. We're not going to get them from thinking in our pea brain. We have to open ourselves up. We have to open up to the higher vibrations. Some people could do astral traveling and see some of these things. People go out into outer space and astral traveling. You don't have to breathe because your body's still here doing all this breathing, but your spirit is gone. And that's where the mind is. That's where the answers are. I'm an Akashic record reader, and I'll guarantee you I don't get into any of the Akashic records like I could because I only get into a little piece of your vibration in the universe. I don't get into the entire unified field. When I do a reading, I'm strictly concentrating on your vibration. And every one of us has a different vibration. That's how we can get into the different vibrations. And that vibration is the same for you all the time. So if you had a past life, your vibration of that past life is the same vibration that you have now because it's a spiritual vibration. That's how a Akashic record reader can go into past lives or into future. Very seldom do we go to the future. We're not using it for psychic reasons. We're using it for other reasons, for questions that you might have about yourself. And we only work with those specific questions. But the point that I'm making is no matter how many times you have had an incarnation, different incarnations, you have the same vibration each time because your fractile of source is the same in every incarnation. It's not your body that creates the vibration, it's spirit or soul. So how much more is out there that we're not tapping into? How much more is out there than even most of the sages that talk to us have? Maybe they have tapped into it, but know that we're not ready for it. Maybe some of them do know what I'm talking about because they're that high vibrational, but yet they can't share it with us because we don't have the comprehension. We don't open our minds up enough. We don't open our third eye enough. We don't get that deep into the spiritual fields. We're more concerned about the third dimension. We're more concerned about our own physical health, when in fact it's been shown that if you get out of your physical self and into spirit, you actually can heal your physical self. But people don't want it. Takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. So we go to the doctor and get a pill. But we can do that. We spoke briefly a couple weeks ago, about herbalism, where it is only to bring you back into harmony or balance so that your body can heal itself. Now, I just mentioned that briefly, and that's all I'm going to mention it is briefly today. I'm not an herbalist, and I completely understand herbalistic stuff, but I do know that it's not about an herb healing you. It's about an herb balancing you so that you can heal yourself. Um, I know this sounds like it's a lot of information, and it sounds like I'm jumping everywhere. And that's the problem with metaphysics, is that we have stuff here and we have stuff here. We have psychics and we have tea ladies and we have Reiki practitioners and we have all these different modalities, and everybody wants their modality to do its job, and they all will do their job, but they all got to be brought together too, into balance. That's the nice thing about going to these metaphysical fairs, is that we get to see all this stuff and we get to choose for ourselves what will help balance us. And that's how you choose that, is what resonates with you. Okay. If you resonate more with teas and herbs, then you want to see the tea lady. There's nothing wrong with her. If you want to deal with energy work, like shamanistic work or Reiki or sound therapy, all those are great. You might need sound therapy and Reiki, or you might tea and acupuncture. Maybe you need a whole bunch of things. Maybe you need a few things. The point is that all kinds of things are available to us, and they're not just available to us on Earth. They're available to us universally. They are available to us in the unified field. There are other things that can be done with the universe, with the unified field, with our own balancing through meditation, and tremendous amount of stuff. Um, the healers of the past that have done great healings that people call miracles have oftentimes say they're not, that we can do the same thing they've done. How can that be? Because they were part of the universe. They were not just part of this earth. They had raised their vibration enough to raise the dead. They had raised their vibration enough to heal the blind. They had done these things through the universal energies, through different vibrational energies. And only were they ever to do this with people who had already raised their vibration. Their vibration may not have physically looked like they had, but spiritually they had. So that's why they were able to be healed. They probably could have done it on their own. And probably everybody could have been healed by any one number of different sages, messengers, whatever you want to call it. But that wasn't their purpose here. Their purpose here was to show us that we can do what they did and that we can do it on our own, because every energy out there is available to us if we know how to get to it. Now, I didn't even know what I was saying today when I started this. This was all going to be about the push and pull of the universe, I thought. But here I am getting into healing. So I don't know. This is a very, very huge deal that I'm talking about. That I know these things are possible, but I don't know how they're possible. I don't need to know how they're possible. I don't need to know the big picture. What I do need to know, I don't need to know the big picture. What I do need to know is that spirit and the unified field are there for me if I choose to raise my vibration high enough to get there. I'm not there. Maybe not get there in this incarnation, but I would strive. I'd like to strive for that, and I hope that everybody that's watching this today strives for that and forgets about their little silly human wants and needs, and know that the unified field could take care of everything. We look at a tree out here. Mary and I were just talking before the gathering. We were just talking about the trees losing their leaves. They don't care about the time change. They don't even care about food. They just draw it in. This is their evening because a tree and bushes oftentimes takes an entire year for their day. So they're going to go to sleep here in December. They're going to sleep all winter. That's their nighttime. They're going to wake up in the morning in spring, and they're going to get themselves up, and they're going to rejuvenate themselves, get their cup of coffee in by bringing in the nutrients of the soil that comes from the water and the other minerals and so forth, and they're going to wake up. In summer, they're going to live their day. They're going to have their day. And then come fall, they're going to start winding down in their evening, sitting in their lounge chair, just relaxing and letting things go. They don't have a care in the world. They don't have a care in the universe. And yet we have to sit here and worry about everything. When's my next meal coming? Am I going to get my car fixed? Do I have to go to work today? We worry about everything when it would all come to us if we would just sit back and become part of the unified field, then everything would happen just the way it's supposed to, without the worry, without the stress. We would be fine. So find that practitioner that you feel is right for you if you choose you need one. Find that meditation way of meditating that works for you that you can get into the unified field. Find that mentor, that sage, whomever it is that you want to help guide you through these things. But don't forget, we deal with a holistic situation, body, soul, and mind. And work on things on that manner. Don't just work on your diabetes. Work on your diabetes and your spirit and your mind. Don't work on just one. Work on all of it. Because we are a three segments of our person while we're in this incarnation, while we're on the earth. Let's heal that, balance that, and become healed and become able to be accepting of the changes and not fighting the changes, and realize that these changes may be ripples from or ripples out to the universe. That it's not just us. And it might not be anybody or anything that we are aware of doing this, but it's happening. So, do we have any questions or comments today?
Please say good morning.
Good morning, Charlene. Anything else today? Boy, I hope a lot of you people really, really comment on this because I'm interested in what you people say. I really am. This is a very interesting subject to me that hasn't really come to me much. And the more I think about it, the more questions there are. Why does the fruit fly only live for a day? And we live for 80 years, and the trees live for hundreds of years. And what is the universal effect that we have on them, and what does the universe affect us? How does it affect us?
Is time linear?
No. Actually, I don't even know how to explain time. Time is a man-made thing. Time is a fourth dimension. I can't say it's truly man-made, but if you look at the calendar, you'll see you start on Sunday, you end on Saturday. It looks linear on the calendar, but you're going around in a circle Saturday, Sunday to Saturday, Sunday to Saturday, Sunday to Saturday, Sunday to Saturday. And that week, those weeks turn into months, and those months turn into a secular year. And those years turn into secular decade, which turns into a secular sesquicentennial, which turns into secular centennial. So no, time is not. It may not be a circle either, it might be spiral. I don't know. It might be a spiral, it might be secular, completely circle, a complete circle. But time is not linear. And we look at a lot of things on this earth as linear. And everything goes in cycles. That's why the Mayans have the 5,125 year cycle. That's why the zodiacs have their cycle, which I think is 2,125 years or something like that. Which is none of this is the astronomy or astrology is not set in stone. There are different astrologists that say different things about how long an age is and that kind of stuff. But the zodiac is what? A circle. When you talk about the medicine wheels, when you talk about anything, it is in a circle. And what does a circle represent? No beginning and no end. That's the purpose of wedding bands. No beginning and no end to the love. We are being bombarded with love from divine love, not from human love. We are being bombarded with divine love right now. And that might be creating a lot of confusion to us. But keep in mind, it's changes. It can be causing the changes. It can be creating the changes. It can be bringing an end to a cycle and beginning a new cycle in the circle of life, in the circle of the universe. We just have to wait and see. We have to wait and see because right now, I can say for me, I'm just too dense to know the difference. So, that said, did that answer your question? Any other questions we have today?
Charlene said, reminder to us, the universal consciousness is flowing through us right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's my whole point. We don't have just a earthly consciousness. We have a universal consciousness. And they have a collective universal consciousness. Why? Because we're all one. We're all part of Source. Source is part of everything. So there is a universal consciousness. Therefore, the universal consciousness, as Charlene says, has to be flowing through us all right now. Because we are part of that. So, if there's nothing else, I did, by the way, today silently welcome the light spirits who wanted to be here. I forgot to mention it today, but we do that every time. Either it's silent or not silent. That's it for today. Be spiritual in everything you do and have a great week. We'll see you next week.